Hello, hello, and welcome to my thoughts on this very interesting, warm Tuesday. Tuesday. And I read in the paper, because remember I'm reading my papers a couple weeks late, about the illicit hairdressing. Well, actually, this was today in the news, that a lot of people are doing illicit hairdressing. And I realized then, and they think nothing of it, because the most important person in a woman's life is the person that does their hair. And nowadays, when you go to a hair salon and you look at the person that's going to cut your hair, is going to color it, is going to wave it, is going to do whatever they do these days um, in these hairdressing salons, you look at them, and if they don't have a sense of style, if they don't look stylish to you, you don't want them to touch your hair. But this reminds me of the very first hairdresser I ever knew was my Aunt Blanche, and that was my father's cousin. And she certainly was no centerfold, and you never looked at my Aunt Blanche and said, I want to look like her. Her legs looked like 4x4s with Oxfords. She was a stocky Polish immigrant with absolutely no sense of style and murdering the English language. She was not, and she was a spinster. She was not married. She had never had an offer. And in those days, looks were important, and Aunt Blanche didn't have them. But she did give good looks to other people. She was a professional hairdresser. She went to school to graduate. She had a little diploma, and she was an expert at the cold wave. The cold wave was a way to curl your hair if you were not naturally curly hair. And it was a process where they put absolutely lethal liquid on your hair, put it in metal rollers, and then after a couple hours they put another alkalizing solution on, and then the whole process took 6 hours. And my Aunt Blanche wanted to give me a cold wave, and I went there, and I remember it was the most horrible thing that ever happened to me. Never happened to me. But as I say, your hairdresser was the most important person in your life. And when I had my TV show, I had a hairdresser, and by that time, his name was Ron. And by that time, people always assumed that male hairdressers and male teachers were gay. Well, this man wasn't. This man wasn't. And he used to tell me while he was doing my hair that his wife liked sex so much. He said, if I keep this up, I'm going to be so skinny, I'm going to live in a teacup. I never really understood what he meant, but I thought that was pretty funny. But my funny story, and the story about hairdressing, is my mother. Because in the 40s and the 50s, we did not understand what homosexuality was. We did not understand that some people are naturally that way. And they were frowned upon, and sadly, they hid their identity. And my mother's hairdresser was a man named David, and he was wonderful, and he was gay, and we all knew he was gay. He never bothered to hide it, which is really great, because in those days, if you were in the public eye at all, they sent you to the hospital, and they gave you shock treatments. So, but he was openly gay, and he was also a very good hairdresser. And we were trying to explain to my mother what homosexuality was, mainly because my second husband was a homosexual. And she was trying to understand why my father didn't know about this. So she said to my father, well, you played golf with him. Why didn't you tell us? So my father said, well, that isn't how you find out. Evidently, my second husband didn't make a pass at my father, which is sad, because my father was really a very nice man. So he missed a good opportunity. But we were trying to explain to my mother what gay was, and I believe this is the classic. I think this is when I learned that my mother was actually a natural comedian, but she didn't mean it. We said to her, well, Mother, gay, that's not a terrible thing. For example, David is gay. And she said, Lynn, he couldn't possibly be. He's Jewish. And thank you very much for joining me for my thought on this lovely, lovely Tuesday.